I wanted to do an open mic, and the closest open mic was like 45 minutes away in this rural town. I kind of wish I didn't do it. I didn't know how to pump my own gas either, so I'm like running out of gas to get there. I get there, all white people. Every single person is white. The population size is 3,000 in this city.
Oh, wow.
And I go into the bar, everyone's looking at me. When I get on stage, I still have the recording to this day. They're like, "You don't belong here."
Immediately. Oh my God.
And they're like, "You look lost." I was like, "I am." Like, I literally just was like instantly coward. I'm like, "I am lost. I don't know what I'm doing here." But it made them laugh for me to have like a low-key panic attack in front of them. But I talked about race. They liked it. They all laughed. It made me realize that like the anxiety that sometimes you get when you're in a full white space is a little bit naive.
Welcome to Digital Discourse. Welcome to Digital Discourse. Yeah.
All right, back with another episode. Today we have a comedian, writer, artist, all the way from Portland, Oregon, also known as the best dick joke writer in the world, Miss Imani Denae.
Hello. Hi.
How you doing today?
Doing good. It's been a long day. Still feeling a little jet lagged or whatever.
Okay. How's DC treating you?
It's great. I like it here. I don't think I could ever live here, but I do like it.
Why not?
I feel like I'm just a little bit more grimy than the people here.
Grimy, okay. Wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah.
Are they too polished or too?
Like, I feel like people here are very polished
Okay.
and put together versus me where I'm just like, I don't know, I feel like a bum in Portland. I don't do much. I don't dress up often. I just go with the flow.
There's a lot of that in DC. Maybe you were in the wrong
I was
area.
near Howard.
Okay.
So I was like, even the black, like being around tons of black people yesterday for Juneteenth, I'm just like, you still seem more polished than the people in Portland.
Okay. Now, that makes sense. I wouldn't expect. Does Portland have a large black population or?
Not a large black population, but there's a decent amount. There's like maybe 200, 300 of us in total.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Out of like the maybe like 500,000 people that exist in the Portland area.
Wow. I do not want to know what that
feels. It's a good
feels
300.
Like. All right. Hopefully you guys are close and friendly.
I'd hope that, but nah.
Just grimy.
Everybody kind of just does their own thing unless you like straight up live in the neighborhood. But I don't. My older siblings do currently, and my grandparents and uncles and stuff. So I only go into that area when it's family time. Otherwise, I live in the artsy part of Portland where all the like painters and musicians and comedians and improvers, I live in the community that they all live in.
Okay. That sounds cool, actually.
It's pretty cool.
Okay. So the best dick joke writer, where does that come from? Why did you choose that?
Mostly just because, like, I don't know, I grew up very sheltered, especially when it came to, like, sexual stuff. And so I started figuring out sexuality really late in life.
Okay.
And I come to tell jokes in a very innocent manner, I think, to the point where it's just, like, it's funny to talk about dicks as if you don't know what they are.
Okay.
And I think I just write good jokes in general. And like men always talk about their dicks on stage. It's time for a woman to talk about their dicks on stage. Since men think dick jokes are funny, why can't a woman make a dick joke?
Fair enough. I see the angle there. Okay. All right. But I feel like you said you recently wanted to switch into different types of jokes.
Yeah, I have been working really hard on talking about my family and my childhood. Because my first 2 years, I did not bring that up at all, really. Mm-hmm. My first year in comedy, I did, for sure. But I got weird feedback and to the point where I was just like, I'm not going to talk about this anymore because I can't talk about child abuse because people in Portland don't experience child abuse. I can't talk about like just what it's like to have a black mom because literally no one around me also has a black mom. So it's hard to talk about your family, but I'm slowly figuring out ways to make everybody laugh in Oregon and the Pacific Northwest based off of like my actual life experiences.
So how do your ideas actually turn into jokes?
I think I'm like naturally a critical person, but I don't voice it all the time. But I used to put it on Twitter. That was my thing. I was like, whatever my true thoughts were in a situation, I would just go on my phone and tweet it. And I didn't have like Twitter followers like that, so it's not like people would see it. It was just kind of like a void for me.
Okay.
And then when I discovered comedy, it was more like going on my Twitter and seeing all the premises that I had low-key wrote and then regurgitating them on stage as like jokes. But yeah, a lot of times I think my comedy just comes from me watching people and like responding the way that I want to respond, but like I don't get to respond in the moment that way.
Okay, that makes sense. It's kind of natural.
Yeah. I was like telling someone yesterday, I was like, I low-key am an angry black woman, but people don't expect it from me until I get on stage and they're like, oh, she's judging us hard. I was like, yeah, I am.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just sitting in the corner with my arms crossed and like looking out of place, but y'all are fucked up people. I'm going to let you know.
So do people believe you when you tell them that you're a comedian?
No.
What do they
Not
usually
at all. I think I've gotten poet when I tell people I'm a performer. I don't even tell people really. I just say I'm a performer. And they're like, oh, like slam poetry. And I'm like, no, stand-up comedy. And they're very, very shocked. Even shocked to know that like I do a roast comedy show. They're like, oh, you write roast jokes? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 1-7. Of course I know how to write a good roast joke. You can't be from a big family and not be able to roast.
Not at all. I can see the poetry thing. You do like you just.
I do, yeah, and that's crazy because like I don't even write poetry. Never done it. It's not my.
Might be a new thing, like a comedy poetry kind of.
Yeah, maybe I should explore it. I gotta look it up and see how you do it.
You might can invent a whole new genre. So what actually made you want to be the funny girl?
It sounds so bad when I say it, but like low key, a guy told me I was funny.
Okay.
And I should try stand up, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll look into it. And like I started watching stand up more on TV, and then I decided to start going to open mics, and I wasn't performing at them. I just like went. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist, like I don't like to look stupid at all. And so I was like studying as I was at these open mics, like watching. And it also was very humbling to see people do bad at comedy. So it made it easier to just like prepare myself for what it was going to take to be a comedian. Mm-hmm. And it took me like 5 months of just like straight up going to open mics before I decided like I want to try this. And then when I did very well initially. Okay. I think like my third ever time performing, I did terribly and I cried. I cried so much. I like immediately left after my set. I was bawling my eyes out walking through the streets of Portland. I like called my parents and I was like, I don't know, I want to do this, but I'm not good at it. I didn't do good. And like they both encouraged me to just like keep trying it. They're like, you know, good comedians are homeless. And I was like, that's not what I want to hear.
So what does bad even look like? Like what happened? Nobody laughed at anything? Nobody
laughed, but also like some people were showing me a little bit of pity. They're like, it's okay, girl, you got this. Like,
oh man.
I was like, it's okay. Someone was like, just start from the beginning. I was like, oh damn. But in my defense, this was like 2020, 2021, and I was performing outside on the street because of COVID restrictions. So I'm like literally standing in front of a building on the sidewalk. People are walking past me to get to their destination.
Oh, wow.
And it's just so embarrassing. it hurt my soul so much that I just immediately left. I was like, I can't be here anymore.
Damn, that might be worse than silence.
Yeah,
Come on,
pity.
one more joke.
Literally pity. And like it's funny because like in that moment, like I had probably only done comedy 3 or 4 other times, but like I was just like, I really do this. Like I can't believe they would say this. I'm a comedian. How dare they think I'm not good at this? I was just so broken up about it, so upset.
That is hilarious. So you mentioned your first show you did really well. Was that the one you did? I think it was in Washington with the all white crowd.
No, that wasn't my first show. The Washington all white crowd show was like my first time, I guess, going on the road.
Okay.
Like traveling. And technically it wasn't for me. My boyfriend's also a comedian, and so he got an opportunity to host at the Spokane Comedy Club. And it just so happened to be during Hoop Fest, which is like a festival that they throw in Spokane. And honestly, it's the coolest festival ever. It's a 3-on-3 basketball competition, and they like close down all the streets of downtown Spokane, and there's just tons of like 3-on-3 basketball games, like from little kids all the way to like 70-year-olds. It is so cool. But like I wanted to do an open mic, and the closest open mic was like 45 minutes away in this rural town. I kind of wish I didn't do it. I didn't know how to pump my own gas either, so I'm like running out of gas to get there. I get there, all white people. Every single person is white. The population size is 3,000 in this city.
Oh, wow.
And I go into the bar, everyone's looking at me. When I get on stage, I still have the recording to this day. They're like, you don't belong here. Immediately.
Oh my God.
And they're like, you look lost. I was like, I am. Like, I literally just was like instantly coward. I'm like, I am lost. I don't know what I'm doing here. But it made them laugh for me to have like a low-key panic attack in front of them. But I talked about race. They liked it. They all laughed. It made me realize that like the anxiety that sometimes you get when you're in a full white space is a little bit naive. It's a little, it's uninformed just a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's just like you can assume that white people are going to be terrible people to you, but sometimes you just kind of like have to let them, like let them show their true colors. Sometimes they won't.
Yeah. And
like in that time, they said the wrong thing at the top, but after I finished my set, people were like obsessed. I got paid for an open mic because people tipped the host after my set. They were like impressed and they tipped them. It ended up being a good experience, even though at the moment, at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, like I have never done a rural town open mic in front of all white people who were older too. Like nobody was young like me.
I can't see how you stayed. I would have. That was given like this is private property vibes.
It really was. When I parked the car, I was like, oh, I don't think that. Do I really want to go in here and do this? What's funny is like my boyfriend was worried for me. He was like, just like, make sure, like, don't let these people mess with you. And like, I was just like, they're just white people. They may not do anything at all. But it's also Oregon and Washington, those places. There's a lot more white only spaces. They're not purposefully white only. It's not like they got signs up to say whites only.
Okay.
But they just truly are. There's just no other people in those spaces. Okay. And the idea in Oregon is like, we're not racist. It's like, how can you not be racist if there's just you? You're going to have some sort of ignorant racist ideas in your head, whether you want them to be or not, just because you don't get to experience anybody outside of people who look like you.
Yeah, you just end up going off of TV.
Exactly. My dad told me that a lot of people will assume you're BET black. That's what he would call it. Mm-hmm.
No, that's a real. I travel a lot, and I understand that that's truly what it is. People think like black people with tattoos all act like Lil Durk.
Yeah.
Shit, so I get it.
Could you imagine if I acted like Lil Durk? Like, I'm black with tattoos.
So what crowds What crowds do you kind of prefer? Since I guess you've had the all white, you've had a mix. Or which one do you do the best with?
I kind of don't know. I struggle with both. I've had like really bad sets in front of all black crowds and really bad sets in front of all white crowds.
Okay.
The black crowds hurt my feelings more.
What do they say? Do they heckle you?
Heckle is, it's not quite what it is, I think. It's like when you're in church and people say like, amen, like, yeah, like, preach or whatever kind of ad libs they want to add to the service. They do that to me all the time when I'm on stage. If I'm telling good jokes.
Okay.
If I'm not, it's just like silence and like staring. And I had that happen my first time performing in Oakland.
Okay.
I was so embarrassed that I was like, I don't think these people like me, and I don't know if I'm gonna come back and perform here, because they were just like, they could sense that I was a different type of black person than they were, and I don't think that they necessarily liked that, because I was like more, I don't know what the word is, like, I don't know, I gave off outsider vibes, and that's my own fault. If I would have came and approached it like one of you guys, then it would have been different. But all I did was talk about how I live in a place where there's no other black people there.
I feel like that works, though.
I thought it would work,
Yeah, that's a
but
better
they
angle.
didn't care. They were like, okay, next.
Okay.
Talk about us. And now, like, and that happens with white crowds, too, where they just, like, they want you to talk about whatever they all do.
Something relatable.
And yeah, and if you're not talking about something everybody in that group does, then like they don't relate to you. You gotta show them that you're like an equal. I performed in front of rich crowds, and those ones are really hard for me because I'm like, I don't have money. Like, I didn't grow up with money. It's hard for me to relate to you guys. There's this thing called Soho House. It's like a membership only club, and I performed in front of surprisingly a very diverse group of people, but they all pay like $2,000 a month to be a part of this social club. It's essentially performing at a country club, and I felt so like it was like the longest 30 minutes of my life. Let's just say that, like, people would smile, but they were afraid to laugh because of like this status that they all have together. Like, nobody wants to be the one who laughs at the most fucked up thing.
Yeah.
So they'll just smile at me. And so I'm like, I'm going to use this smile as laughter. So I'm going to continue to tell these jokes that aren't getting laughs, but these people are smiling, so I know that they appreciate it. And after the show, people came up to me like, you're very funny. And I was like, why did you fucking laugh? Like, that's how you show someone that they're funny. You laugh at their joke. You don't just smile at them.
Yeah, okay.
But,
Those are some tough situations.
Yeah.
But good data. You know, you're learning on the way.
Yeah, exactly.
So have you ever been heckled?
Yes, I've been heckled by a numerous amount of people. I'm not good at hecklers. I got heckled during a contest set, and I straight up just lost it. I was like, shut up, you fucking bitch. Do you think anybody gives a shit about you? And like, the whole room's full of people. I just snapped. But it's a contest, and I wanted to win, and she disrupted my set. And like, I have a limited amount of time.
Right.
So she's like, I got mad, straight up.
What did she say?
She was like, I was telling a joke about how I don't wash my hair every day. And she's like, I don't either. And I don't know why that pissed me off so much.
That's not even a heckle.
I was just like, why would you fucking say anything right now? I didn't even get a punchline out. I didn't even start my set. And I shouldn't have responded that way at all. Like, I could have ignored it. I could have just moved past it. But the fact that she said anything at all pissed me off. But I've also had someone heckle me who thought I was being offensive, and that like caught me off guard. Like, I started a set by just saying I grew up Christian. Immediately they were like, "Oh, so you believe in God? So you don't support gay people?" Like, they just instantly like came for me. And I was like, "Okay, let me get my material out and we could see where this goes.
Yeah.
And then I like told my first couple jokes, and I told this joke about how I didn't want a dick, and if I had one, I would cut it off because I don't want one. Which in my head, you're just expressing your femininity. Like you enjoy being a woman, so you want to stay a woman. Now, this audience member they probably be very pro-trans. I'm pro-trans, but they took offense to me saying that I didn't want a dick, which I think is the most bizarre thing to get upset about. But she was like, some people really want to have a penis. And for you to call them disgusting and say you don't want one, that's offensive to the people. And I was like, girl, shut up. Like, you are ruining everything I'm doing right now. Yeah. You are just making this so fucking hard. Honestly, it was a painful set, that one too. I was just like, fuck you. Yeah. I was so mad.
Yeah, a liberal crowd is going to be a tough one.
It is. But it's nice to be from a city that supports like liberal ideas because it teaches you to be smarter if you want to say something more on the like fucked up scale versus because you can't really go around saying slurs. Yeah, you can't really go around just like straight up being like an asshole to people. You gotta dance, do a little creative writing in order to be the asshole you feel like you are inside. And I think I'm starting to master that. Okay. And I'm realizing it does translate from city to city. So I don't necessarily have to go around using all the slurs and saying all the crazy stuff. Like, low-key in Austin, Texas, they do that all the time. Everybody's saying all kinds of crazy, like, slurs. I heard people say the N-word who were white. And, really? In Austin? And the mic went on. I was like, oh, wow, you don't even cut. Wow. I would have kicked them out, but that's just my personal opinion.
Shit, okay. But, Austin, all right. So dating another comedian, what is that like?
I like it. I think that the idea is that you're not supposed to date another comedian. I get that a lot. They're like, comedians shouldn't date other comedians. Hell, my boyfriend told me that before we ever dated. It's like, comedians shouldn't date other comedians. But I feel like, why wouldn't you date somebody who likes the same shit you like, who understands the lifestyle of what comedy brings and like the work that you have to put in, and also is equally ambitious as you? Like, why wouldn't you want to be with somebody who gets you in that way?
Makes sense.
Like, that makes so much sense to me, but it's like taboo. A lot of people think that like it's like some manipulation aspect to dating a comedian because like usually it's a male who's been doing comedy longer with a woman who's new. And that's kind of a little bit the situation that's like with me and my boyfriend. He's been doing it 10 years. I've been doing it 4. So it's like kind of a bit of an age gap in like the comedy age. But I don't know. I think that that's still okay. I mean, it's the same as any regular relationship, kind of, sort of. It's just that you both work at the same job. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't.
It's just like coworkers. People do feel like it's very, very weird, though. I get that a lot. That it's uncomfortable or something, but.
Okay, I would assume it's pretty fun.
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
I do a lot of shows with him. We did contests together. Sometimes I feel like he's better at comedy than I am, but in like a different aspect. He's more of a performance-based, like very big performer. Me, I don't really move when I'm on stage. I'm very much like in this pocket. Like I don't move. I give off shy energy, and he gives off like very friendly, extroverted energy. So it's like we both admire a lot of the things that we do. We compliment each other a lot, which I think also works. Plus, you should always date someone you think is funnier than you. If you're trying to date somebody who's not as funny as you, or you don't even think is funny, that is sad.
Yeah.
It's going to be torture.
Do you guys end up laughing during sex sometimes?
Yes. I think I called him the wrong name the first time we ever had sex, just because I thought it would be funny.
Oh, on purpose? Oh, you're toxic.
I did it on purpose. But he has a joke about, like, someone named Trent. And so I was like, oh, I'm just going to call him the name Trent because he's like, his name's Brent. and he says that Trents are better than Brents.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, I'm just gonna call him Trent during sex because it's his own joke. So I was like, I just wanted to be funny, but I do that a lot, just in regular life. Just I try to get a joke out all the time, which sometimes can get you in trouble if you're just living your regular life and make a stand-up comedy joke to a stranger.
Yeah.
And especially if it doesn't hit, because sometimes jokes need an audience versus just one person.
I can relate wholeheartedly. I promise you. When's the last time you did that and had like an awkward encounter?
Yesterday.
What happened?
I was like walking down the street here in DC, and I smoke weed, and it's hot outside. It's like 90 something degrees out.
Very hot.
Like it's so hot, and I like low key dehydrated walking the streets, and I kind of like drag my feet a little bit when I'm walking, and this guy he asked me if I was okay, and I said yes because I was like, I don't know. It felt like a weird question to ask me, but he was like, "You're swaying a little bit when you're walking." I think he's just saying that I'm dehydrated. He never said, "Are you dehydrated?" But like, he was like, "You're swaying a little bit much." Like, and I was like, "I'm new to legs." That's what I told him. I was like, "Oh, I'm just new to my legs." Like, and I thought that was funny.
What did he
He
say?
didn't do anything. I was like, "No, that's just a joke. I'm new to legs." I've also thought of a joke to say to the Uber driver today that like took me here, but then I was like, no, that would be a very inappropriate joke. Like he asked me like how I was. I'm like, where are you coming from? When he picked me up from the hotel, which is weird. But I was like, oh, I just slept with a politician. That's what I thought in my head.
Okay.
But I didn't say that out loud. I was just like, oh, I'm just from Portland. I was like,
funny.
no, I'm just here to fuck a politician.
You should have. Car insurance. Very random question, but I saw you had a lot of hit and run attempts. How do you feel about car insurance? Is it a scam or is it not?
It is a scam. I think it's very wrong that you have to have it legally. I think that should be against the law itself. I want to file a class action lawsuit against car insurance companies because I think it's so unnecessary. You're paying for a what if. You're paying just for an act of God. I just think that it's ridiculous. You should have, I don't know, I think how it should work is like you get in a car accident and then the insurance company makes you pay for your accident on a payment plan. And then once you pay for your accident, you're good until the next accident happens. So you're only paying them if you actually fuck up your car versus paying them if you accidentally fuck up your car in the future. Because, like, they're really collecting a good amount of money from us every single year. You could drive your car. Like, for me, I've had my car for 3 years. I drove my car for the first year and nothing happened. But I was paying that car insurance. I'm like, I should be able to collect that money at the end of the year in a check.
Half of it, right?
Yeah, at least some of it. Like, I should be able to, at the end of the year, after no accidents, collect however much money I've been paying them, like a little bank account, you know? That's how it should be. Car insurance should be a little bank account, like a savings account that you could pull money out of.
It would help a lot of people.
It would. Instead, it's this mandatory thing that you have to pay that is so expensive. Also, if I could recommend anything, do not file an insurance claim or for an unnecessary reason. Like someone hits off your side view mirror, don't file an insurance claim. Someone hits your parked car, hit and run. If it's not that big of a deal, don't file an insurance claim because, like, it skyrockets your insurance. Like, for me, it went from, like, $280, which is already kind of a lot, to $414.
Because of a side swipe?
Because I kept filing insurance claims for every single thing that happened to my car.
How many claims we talking about?
Like 6.
Oh, okay.
That's
I don't know.
one of which I did not file. I didn't follow through with. I just was like, it's whatever. But I still think it's kind of like fucked up. And none of the car accidents, except for one, was my own fault. And the one that was my fault is just, it was snowing. I was on a hill. It was like, I couldn't brake on a hill in the snow. I feel like that should just be accident forgiveness, like, or something. Plus, this stupid bitch said she got hurt. And I hope she sees this one day. You liar. If anything, you came out the car and you checked on me to make sure I was good because I hit you. I just tapped the bumper of her car too, talking about $10,000 worth of bodily injury. Damn. This lying bitch. I still got her number. She lucky I don't call her right now.
I guess Portland really is grimy.
It really is grimy.
All right. What is your craziest high thought?
A thought that I had when I was high was that, like, when people get arrested, they should work at T-Mobile. Versus,
What?
they should be working in customer service. If you get arrested, that should be your punishment for your crime. Is to have to deal with other people forever
For free.
for free, with no payment.
I don't know how well that would translate.
It might not translate well, but I feel like at least they will demand respect, so they'll try and get respected, but they also will be disrespected. So that kind of is the punishment that people who aren't in prison or jail have to suffer from. So, plus they should have to pay bills, low key. Like my brother's in prison. He's been in there for 10 years. And I just think it's so crazy that when he gets out, he's like going to have to pay bills for the first time. Because he's never paid a bill. He's never paid car insurance, never paid for a car. Like, that's just going to be so new to him. And, like, granted, prison is a terrible experience. It's hard to, like, live through. But I'm like, wait till you get outside. We struggling out here, too. Like, you don't understand.
It's a different struggle.
I know he'll be asking me for money, and I'm like, you don't get it, Aaron. It's hard out here. That $50, I low-key need that. Like, I'll visit you. We can eat out the vending machine together. But, like, right now, you don't need the Lay's chips today. Okay.
That's funny. Okay.
Borrow some ramen noodles for someone else. I don't know.
Right. Free Aaron.
Yes. Free Aaron. Hopefully he doesn't do it again.
How do you go about building your confidence?
Oh, that's a struggle for real. A lot of people who I meet, like, who are bigger comedians, I think that's the first thing that they can sense from me is that, like, you can have talent and no confidence, low key. I've had a couple people, they just straight up have, like, pointed out that I may have some insecurities in this. And it's hard because, like, growing up, I wasn't the center of attention at all. If anything, I would surround myself with people who were the center of attention. Those are the people I used to fuck with all the time. It's just people who could bring attention to themselves. And sometimes the people who are easily bring attention to themselves are the worst kind of people. So low-key, my friend group was always full of some toxic energy. Mm-hmm. And I was the calm person around toxic people. But, like, now that I'm in comedy, it's weird to be the person who's now getting all of the attention. It feels kind of gross to me in a weird way. Like, when I first started getting Instagram followers, it almost felt like every follower was someone putting a finger on my body. And I would have, like, hundreds of thousands of fingers touching me. And they all think that, like, they know me in a weird way. And I'm like, no, but I'm not really talking about, like, I mean, I'm telling a joke, but the joke is not my identity.
Right.
So you don't really know me. But then they think that they do. And then you meet someone on the street who's like, oh my God, it's you. Oh my God. I'm like getting teary-eyed to see you. Like, that shit freaked me out. Because I'm like, oh, I'm just Imani. Like, I'm not nothing. Like, after this, I'm going back to work at the UPS store. Like, you don't understand. My car insurance is $414. I'm getting $50 for this show, but thank you so much for crying to see me.
Ooh.
I was like, people don't know you're struggling for real. And it's also kind of depressing. Like, I opened for Roy Wood Jr. in a sold-out theater with 800 people, had a killer set, and then the next day had to show up at the UPS store at 9 o'clock. I just, like, worked with Cam Patterson, And I know he's staying in a nice hotel. I'm over here at Motel 6, pay with it on my own dime. Like, it's like such a weird feeling to work with people who are doing really well, and then you're not there yet, but you know, like, you're gonna get there.
It's around the corner.
Point. It's around the corner, but it sucks to be in like this limbo of like, when is it gonna change? My family, low key, is like, you just gotta be homeless, because when you're homeless, you're gonna make it. As soon as you become homeless, like, that's when all the comedians make it, is you gotta be homeless first. And I'm like, I don't want to be homeless. I'm sorry, like, I want to be a good comedian, yes, but I don't want to struggle. Like, why do I have to struggle to be good? I want my car accidents to be the only struggle I have as a comedian in my story. Now, is that going to be the thing? No, but wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah, it seems like it's part of the origin starter pack.
If anything, that's my villain story.
Do you think it's harder for women in comedy?
I do. Like, sometimes I think sometimes people, this is a controversial idea, but sometimes I think people blow it out of proportion, how hard it is. But I do see in some aspects that it is harder as a woman, especially since, like, for me, I get asked a lot by male comics who are funny women. And, like, in my head, that's low-key offensive. I'm like, fuck you. A lot of women are funny. You probably don't notice that because you're not listening to them. Mm-hmm. And, like, that sucks that's the real way of society is a lot of men don't listen to women when they talk. Mm-hmm. And they should more, because then they'd realize we're actually saying something. But it is, in a way, harder for women. For me, I think that the only time that I've ever felt like I may be treated differently is when it comes to road work in the Pacific Northwest. Like, I have rarely went on, well, I do now because my boyfriend's a comic and he's like, I go with him, but solo, I don't do a lot of solo road work. And I think it's solely because I'm a Black female and they don't want to risk putting a Black female in a rural white town, making her travel on her own or whatever. And it's like, scary. It's nice that they are concerned about me, but I want the opportunity to make the money that everybody else is making in these spots. Mm-hmm. Like, let me do that. Put me in, coach. Like, you don't know what's going to happen until it happens. And God forbid something very negative happens. But I don't know. I think that's, for me, the one time where I'm like, oh, being a woman sucks, because if I was a man, y'all would be totally fine because you think men can all defend themselves. And I've seen some weak men, and that's not true. Some men, they need to defend themselves.
That is true. All right. Well, 2 more quick questions.
Cool.
What emojis do you use the most?
I use this one.
Okay.
I use the little monkey who puts his hands over his eyes. Gosh, I think those are like the 2 that I use the most right now. But like the monkey with his hands over his eyes is like, oopsie. That's what I use it for. Like, if I make a mistake, I'm like, oopsie. Or if I don't know. I think that my number one thing that I say a lot, at least my siblings say I say it a lot, is I don't care. And so I think that this is a very good, like, I don't care. Like, just do do what you want. I don't care.
Okay.
Kind of vibe.
All right.
Or like the rolling your eyes, the one where your eyes are just up, that emoji. I use that a lot in the comment section of my videos. So, like, some of y'all saying crazy things, and I just, like, roll my eyes to it.
Well, at least you reply.
Sometimes. If it's positive, I almost never reply. If it's negative, you found a way to get my attention.
You can't take a compliment. All right. The last one is, who's your top 5? What's your top 5 comedians?
Comedians? I love Chris Rock. He's one of my favorites.
Give me 1 to 5.
Oh, 1 to 5?
Yeah.
With the numbers.
If you can't do the numbers, fine. Just throw 5 at me.
Okay. I like Zainab Johnson. I low-key like Donald Glover. I know a lot of people are like, what the hell? But Weirdo is probably the best comedy special for the young Imani. Like, the high school version of me watched that a lot, like more than once. I love Cat Williams. I love Bernie Mac, Miss Pat, Chris Rock.
We're at 6 now.
I know. But Zaynab is just the newer comic that I like. She doesn't get a lot. She's very funny. She has a not HBO, Amazon Prime special called Hijab's Off. She's Muslim.
Okay.
But she's she's beautiful as well as funny. I met her in person and I felt so embarrassed because I was like, my hair was looking bad that day. I was like, I look busted. I was in like sweatpants at the comedy club. I'm like, I shouldn't be saying hi to her right now. I should walk away, but I had to. Yeah, sure. She's great. Miss Pat's amazing. She's like my all-time favorite female comedian. Okay. Just straight up love her. She's too funny.
Okay. Shout out to Miss Pat. All right. Well, the last question I close out with is just, if you had the attention of the world for 30 seconds, what would you say to them?
Be yourself. Like, but also, like, know that yourself is not all of the things you're dealing with. That you are more than everything that is going on inside of you. Like, you're more than your skin tone. You're more than your sexuality. You're more than the disabilities that you have. You're more than your mental health. You are completely, like, having something is different than being something. You can have all these things, but you don't have to be all of those things. That's what I would tell the world. Make sure you understand who your identity is and how it is more than just everything you have.
Okay, well put. All right, well, I appreciate you coming. That's all I have for you. Did you wanna close out with anything?
No, I'm good.
All right, well, thank you for pulling up, representing Portland, and we are out of here.